As a kid from Gurney, Illinois,
You're gonna work hard, you might as well have fun on Friday nights, you know what I'm saying?
all I ever wanted was a chance, an opportunity to pursue something bigger than myself. I guess you could say it's fitting I found my way here, because that's all this team and this place have ever wanted. A chance, an opportunity to chase our dreams.
Kansas State at Iowa State, which really could be the best Big 12 game.
Kansas State, Iowa State control their destiny, essentially.
To make the most of every last second. To fight with everything we've got and play 60 minutes of Cyclone football.
No flinching. No wavering. One play at a time.
Shout out to the social media team for that one. I bummed that real quick before this started. So
yeah,
shout out to the Cyclone football media team.
It's the nightcap in the morning.
Morning edition.
The morning edition of the nightcap.
Can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
Damn right.
Speaking of,
How cold is it in there, Matthias?
in here, not that cold. Actually, it's 60,
It's not
65
nearly as cold
degrees.
as he makes it look.
Yeah, no, I'm more dressed to like walk outside and check my brisket. You know,
That's a heated garage.
this is a heated garage. Yes. Yeah,
Just,
we're all good in
the
here. I'm just
concrete
dressed.
floor and the outfit. I was like, it must be freezing.
I said
over
that
there.
dude's freezing his ass off.
No, it's good. It's good in here. I'm just I'm more so like didn't like change anything.
Yeah.
Well, I've got like 40 people at my house, so if anybody walks behind or you hear anything weird, we're hosting a
Hear
little bit
anything
of a
weird?
Thanksgiving situation here.
Kind
So
of weird shit would we be hearing?
I don't know,
Yeah, it happens.
We're here at a different time for the nightcap or morning cap. We'll call it the morning cap
The morning.
today.
The puking rally.
The puking rally after Thanksgiving. We Maui kind of threw the schedules off a little bit. Then the Wednesday, before Thanksgiving's always the biggest bar night and all that stuff. And Levi had some things he wanted to do, and I was like, whatever, doesn't really care. So here we are, Black Friday edition of Iowa State or the Puke and Rally podcast with the Wide Right 90 Light Network. Iowa State went 2-1 in Maui, and the football team tomorrow is going to play in the Farmageddon Classic, which is not what it's called, but I'm going to call it that today, to basically go to the Big 12 championship game, barring a insane upset by Houston.
A very good 2-1 in Maui, though. Like,
Yeah. As 2-1s go, pretty solid.
yeah,
I mean, I'll admit that I'm still a little chapped about blowing that 18-point lead to Auburn. But,
yeah, everybody is.
But as blown 18-point leads go, that one's the most
do it to Auburn.
That one's the most
That's the easiest one
stomachable
to swallow.
that's the
Yeah.
easiest one to swallow. Because it did come from Auburn, who may genuinely be the best team in college basketball. But I tell you what, though, if you watch that first half, there's a lot of people that watch that first half and are like, oh shit, Iowa State might be the best team in college basketball. Because it was not just like we were beating Auburn. We were fucking shithousing them.
It seems like
everything
was falling, dude, in the first half. Like,
was falling. They were forcing turnovers. I mean, it was like, holy shit, Iowa State's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but it is what it is. Then you followed up with a good win against Dayton, who's probably, they're a contender to win the 18.
36 and Ken Palm or word.
The Colorado win is really impressive, actually.
Colorado, they just demolished Colorado.
Right. Not because of Colorado, just because of how badly they beat them. And coming off a win against UConn, I mean, at least
it was on
UConn
day
fans
3.
today.
It was on the third game in 3 days after they had played 3 shit teams in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
then they go to Maui.
At least we're not
definitely
UConn fans.
Yeah,
We're not
UConn.
UConn.
Is definitely in that post national title run
hangover. Yep.
Yeah,
and I don't know if they're
down
like
bad
going
right
to
now.
be. They're not going to be what they were the last 2 years. I don't think, but like
They'll
they'll probably
probably
be
show up in
better than
March.
what they. Yeah,
they'll
they'll
be a top 5 seed in March, but maybe
Yeah.
just not the number 1 overall seed.
I don't
us.
like. I think people were mad. Like I kind of.
We can't be a number 1 seed, man. Iowa State does not. We with our luck, man, we're not allowed to be a number 1 seed. It's
I mean, we made a run for it. Yeah, we made a run for it last year.
Yep.
But I mean, even that Dayton win though, Dayton is projected to probably they'll be a contender to win the A10, which is usually
they went to the Sweet 16 last year.
Yeah, I mean the A10 is a good conference. It's not. I mean, it's not like the Big 12 and the SEC are this year, but like the A10 is a good conference that good teams come out of. And Dayton's a good team. Beating them is good. Especially when their guards, Dayton was making a lot of shots for a good chunk of that game. They were making a huge percentage.
Well, and our defense was a little lackluster in that game compared to what we normally see from a TJ Otzelberger team.
Lipsy worries me a little bit though.
Yeah,
Lipsy's shoulder is a little bit.
And
I mean,
think,
he looks bad. Like, I don't know which shoulder it even is, but like right when they were talking about it, I watched him shoot free throws, and I was like.
It was ugly. Like, yeah, he wasn't even. He was like barely.
He looked
getting
better.
It to the rim.
He looked better in the third game. It looked like he had a little more oomph on the shot. Just wasn't like he actually was making it to the rim, and it's like, okay, maybe this is okay, but
yeah, our guard just literally almost airballed the free throw.
he like short armed it big time. I was like, what the fuck?
I guess we'll see what he's like against Marquette on next Wednesday.
Fortunately, it didn't. Thankfully, you need a lot of scoring from Taman, other than he did a good job finishing in transition when he needed to, but like for the most part, he played defense, he distributed the ball, and that's what you need from Taman Lipsy.
Oh, that hesitation fast break!
Oh, that was hot,
disgusting.
That was hot. Yeah, no, I mean, overall, Keyshawn Gilbert had a good tournament. I mean, I think he averaged 23, 25 points in the tournament, something like that. He had a good tournament. Couple bonehead plays, specifically one where he tried to split a triple team against Auburn on the last possession there. But
at this point, that's just who Keyshawn.
Yeah,
that's who Keyshawn Gilbert is. And we're gonna have to
deal with it. I mean, he's a little ball hoggish, like
he can be. His big issue is he gets spun out of control a little bit. He gets playing too fast.
I guess I don't mean it like ball hog in that sense. I mean it like.
He's a ball dominant guard. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, man, like the play's kind of maybe not there and we're trying to force it. Just kick it out. Like, let's.
Yeah. But. Yeah. He's not a ball hog, but he can force things that aren't necessarily there.
You got guys that can knock down shots 1 through 4, just get it out to somebody else.
Yeah.
He'll force it and I'll be like, oh, well, fuck, it went in.
It went in, I guess. Yeah. You're like, okay. But yeah, I mean, this team's good enough. He doesn't, but there's no single person that needs to play hero ball. There's enough good players.
I tweeted it out. I think it might have been against Auburn or Dayton, but it was like Keyshawn Gilbert is like a car accident, or it's like a horrific car accident.
Yeah,
everybody lives and wins the lottery at the end of it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, whatever. Yeah.
That's kind of like Rocco.
Yeah, a little bit. And then Kurt Jones had a big game. I think he had a big game against Dayton. And then
and he's 5 feet like past the 3-point line. It's like he's automatic.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Automatic.
His shot to the point where he's in that same category as like senior Matt Thomas and Tyrus McGee, where it's like you're almost surprised if it doesn't go in. Actually, you just are surprised if it doesn't go in at this point.
It's amazing the turnaround from him because like
I remember that
we were all like
non-conference last year. We were like
out of here, but I think it was for him. It was like adjusting to the speed of playing at Iowa State, and I think you're probably gonna drone strike me for saying this, but I think the same's gonna happen for Chatfield. Hot take today.
I think if Chatfield follows the Bob Jones development curve, I think that's a best case scenario. Like,
that's the thing we are missing though right now. It's like our
as much as I hated on Bob Jones,
our bigs can score.
At least
they cannot defend the perimeter like Bob Jones could.
I would say, as much as I hated on Bob Jones, what he did do very well is you could rotate him and he could guard a guard on the perimeter, and you were not worried about it.
But I don't think he was as good offensively as well.
Oh no,
definitely not.
Neither of them are that good offensively or whatever. But Bob Jones was kind of a black hole in offense most of the time. But defensively, he was very solid defensively. I mean, give credit where credit's due. As infuriating as he was on offense for me, defensively he was good.
I think the bigs, a lot of them too, like Chatfield. Dishonest Jackson or John. What is it Jackson? Is it Jackson? Is his last name? I always I want to say Johnson, but it's not. It's Jackson.
And Andy Mitch chiming here. He said Keyshawn doesn't hesitate to put his team on his shoulders even when he probably shouldn't.
That's kind of what we were saying.
Yeah, that's basically that's
Jackson,
right.
and then Jefferson. I think they just need to build up their stamina a little bit, and I think they'll be fine in the long run. I just don't think they're there.
Their conditioning's not there yet. Yeah,
we haven't played consistent basketball.
I like the bigs, man. I like the bigs.
Yeah, the front court's looking nice. Yeah,
like I think the bigs are good. I think, I'd rather have offense and maybe a gap on defense a little bit there in that scenario because you can beat 100 by scoring 110. You can't beat if you score 50, you can't win. So it's like,
right, yeah. I want to clarify the dishonest Jackson thing because that is a leak from the that's an inside joke on the Slack chat. One time because Deshaun Jackson's Deshaun Jackson's first name is spelled Dishon.
Shot.
Yeah, that's how
Dishon.
That is how Deshaun Jackson is spelled in Deshaun or whatever. So one time I was typing that into the chat and my phone just autocorrected to just finish the word dishonest, and so in the chat he ended up as Dishonest Jackson.
Hell yeah!
Cyclone Larry and I have ran with it,
and it's easily one of the dumbest bits that has somehow managed to stick around in the Wide Right Slack, which at this point the lore for it is.
Shout out Cyclone Larry if you're still alive this morning. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've had a couple of my buddies like my name autocorrects to Dyson, like the vacuum. So now I got a nickname Dyson out of nowhere. So
is it because you suck?
Yeah. Or
I'm just
catching strays randomly on a Friday morning.
Well, he made the vacuum joke. I don't know.
Yeah.
But all right. Yeah. So 2-1 in Maui.
We play Kansas State though this week, so
we will get to football. 2-1 in Maui.
I know you're excited. Dude, I can see your like shit hitting underneath your desk talking about this basketball team, right? Like I know you're excited about basketball season, but we've got to finish football season.
I just wanted to finish up the segment. Also, we would talk about women's basketball playing South Carolina.
No, we're not going to talk about it.
We're not going to talk about that. So we're going to go straight to football.
Dude, I was cooking.
We are not talking about that.
They didn't play. It never happened.
Yeah, the game actually was canceled.
I was cooking Thanksgiving, bro, and I looked up and it was we had 3 points. It was 5 minutes left in the half.
It was like in the second quarter, and David Braga was asking. I think he must have actually got locked out of the Twitter account or something like that. So I had to log him back in or whatever. And I was like, oh shit, I forgot that they had started. I checked into wherever it was like in the beginning of the second quarter. I was at a Thanksgiving. I checked the score. I was like, I'm not watching that.
I honestly had no idea. I knew they were playing, but I lost track of it, thankfully, because of the score. But I was balls deep into the clusterfuck of the Chicago Bears. Once again, breaking my heart 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Anyways, Kansas State.
Yeah, Kansas State football.
After the Hail Mary, you knew the Bears were screwed this year.
I'm up to 4 heartbreak.
The Hail Mary was like, oh, it's gonna be a long ride after that happened. But he's like in the second, he's talking shit back there. You can't write a better movie script than what happened in that game.
Fully prepared for the nut kicking to continue for me as a fan this weekend.
No,
so
you're not.
Okay,
I am, because I am broken right now. I'm scared of this game.
I don't think we need to go too far into last week. I mean, they won in the the ugliest way possible. We thought UCF was the ugliest game possible. Nope, it was Utah.
I forgot that we had a game last week that we
won.
I erased it from my memory.
That's good. We're going to continue to do that. They won. Doesn't matter. So now Iowa State is playing Kansas State this weekend, tomorrow specifically at 6:30 p.m. It's going to be very cold. I think the projected high for tomorrow is 0 degrees at kickoff.
Hell yeah.
Which I am generally fine with. Currently, I know a lot of this week we've been seeing a lot of the tiebreakers and all that. So basically, if Iowa State wins this weekend if Iowa State wins this weekend, well, just for tiebreakers, let's just assume Iowa State wins this weekend. You need BYU to win. If BYU doesn't beat Houston, which they should, but if BYU does not beat Houston, you need West Virginia to beat Texas Tech. Now, if West Virginia does not beat Texas Tech, there is you need 2 more outcomes to happen.
You need 2 unlikely outcomes.
You need 2 unlikely outcomes.
Yeah.
BYU beating Houston is by far your best bet. If BYU beats Houston, you're good. Now, that said, West Virginia and Texas Tech kick off tomorrow. I want to say they're the 11 o'clock game. Let me just check real quick. They are the 11. They're an 11 o'clock game.
So we're saying West Virginia just win that bad boy and get it out of the way.
Right. Okay. So and that's the thing. So if Arizona State wins tonight, I think because Arizona State plays today, right?
I believe so.
No.
Somebody
plays today. Somebody plays today.
Colorado and Oklahoma State
that's
play
right.
today.
Colorado.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So if Colorado wins today, actually, because if Colorado loses, I don't think it really matters.
They're not losing.
They're not losing Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
So
there's no way.
okay. So tomorrow, if West Virginia beats Texas Tech, I believe that would lock Iowa State into a win and in. I could be wrong, but I believe that locks Iowa State into a win and in.
I haven't heard that one yet.
Because that's your insurance. That's your insurance for the BYU game.
Right.
Let's see. I don't know. Let me pull up MRed here real quick.
I choose to ignore the tiebreakers completely because we still have to win the football game.
Yeah, I mean,
well, no doubt about it.
It's
more just let's just check to see what we got to do here. I'm going to pull up MRed here. And
it was Baylor beat Kansas was one of those ones that you need if BYU loses.
If BYU loses, do you need it or do you just
if BYU loses, you have to have Baylor beat Kansas.
Not if West Virginia beats Texas Tech.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah.
Okay, it's here. I've got MRed pulled up here. Okay, so interesting. UCF is projected over Utah. It doesn't matter. I would say beat both of them. Okay, so let's say Colorado wins today. Arizona State beats Arizona.
Oh yeah, UCF and Utah play tonight too. But
oh yeah, okay. So let's say Houston beats BYU, because if Houston beats BYU and that's it, you get Colorado and Arizona State. If Houston beats BYU and West Virginia beats Texas Tech,
Andy says
we are in.
Don't count on Baylor tomorrow.
Well, honestly, I respect Andy coming in here with all the confidence because he should, because Kansas is fucking white hot.
Then we need.
I mean, honestly, Kansas did destroy us and sucked the soul out of us. But shout out Andy and his Kansas Jayhawks for pushing us right back into this.
So
yeah,
if
they put us in this spot and then they put us in this spot again,
and then they got us back out of it. Yeah. Okay. So fortunately, the Baylor Kansas outcome doesn't change what happens to us as long as West Virginia beats Texas Tech.
Yeah, that's probably true.
As long as West Virginia beats Texas Tech, it doesn't matter what happens.
But that's not crazy likely. Let's not.
No, I don't think it. Well, West Virginia can beat Texas Tech for sure.
They can, but it's not easy game. No,
it's not easy, but Texas Tech is favored.
I can't remember what other game it is. I think it's Arizona. So
if theoretically, if Arizona beats Arizona State,
I think you need. That's the BYU loss scenario.
So let's say everything fucking goes wrong. Beat Kansas State, but BYU loses, Texas Tech loses.
Texas Tech wins.
Texas Tech wins, and if Arizona State loses to Arizona, you are still in.
You picked.
So if Arizona beats Arizona State, Baylor beats Kansas, Houston beats BYU, Texas Tech beats West Virginia, we are in.
That's what I was saying. But if Baylor doesn't beat Kansas and Arizona State,
so if let's say we all that's the same, but Kansas beats Baylor,
that should stay the same.
We're still in. Yep.
But Arizona State wins that game is what the scenario.
So you're saying if Arizona State wins and Kansas wins, then we're out.
One.
That's the fucked one. So this is that's basically
that's the most likely of those games. So not all of them, but of Baylor and Arizona's game.
I would be pretty shocked if Arizona State lost to Arizona.
Right.
I also would be pretty surprised if BYU lost to Houston at home, but Willie Fritz is a good coach. Houston's their defense is good enough to keep them in stuff.
So this is what I'm saying. If BYU does lose, that sucks because that's what's gonna happen if BYU
even in
loses.
that scenario, if West Virginia beats Texas Tech in the 11 o'clock game, Iowa State is in.
Yeah.
So I believe, unless there's some really cockamamie thing here that happens, if West Virginia wins that 11 o'clock game, so and since TLDR, this crap is super complicated. Yeah, it is. However, for Iowa State, it's actually not that complicated. Basically, if West Virginia wins, from what I can tell, if West Virginia wins the 11 o'clock game, Iowa State is winning in.
Yeah.
If Texas Tech wins, you win, and then you want BYU to win. I mean, no matter what. No matter
Mountaineers
what.
and Cougars.
No matter what, Iowa State. If Iowa State doesn't win, they're not in. That's just how it is.
But I'm saying you're gonna have to get a West Virginia or a BYU win because that other scenario is just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. So this weekend, you are Mountaineer fans, you are BYU Cougar fans, you are Arizona fans, you are
Baylor fans.
Yep.
Those are the 4 games, yeah. But Arizona and Baylor less important than the other 2.
Arizona and Baylor definitely less important. I mean, number one, you're a West Virginia fan because that locks it up even before. Locks it up even before you kick off. If West Virginia does not win that, you're going to win, and then you're going to be sitting around waiting for BYU to finish. BYU doesn't kick off till like 9 o'clock tonight.
Hey, Buddy's kind of fighting for his job in Morgantown, right? So I mean, hey.
Yeah, yes and no. Because I'm trying to think what they're in a bowl game. So like he is and he isn't. Like I think West Virginia fans would like to move on from him, but I think he's done like just enough to keep him that the West Virginia is not going to want to pay his buyout.
The climb, bro. You believe in the climb.
Yeah. So, but anyways, that's the scenario. You are a West Virginia fan, you're a Baylor fan, you're a BYU fan, you are an Arizona fan, and maybe Oklahoma State if you feel like it.
So, do we want to talk about how they set up the rankings to leave out the Big 12 champion, or?
Well, fortunately,
Tulane
lost last night, so they're not in.
They're not, but Alabama has 3 good losses.
Yeah. The nice part though is that what really matters. Actually, Alabama is largely irrelevant to the Big 12 getting in at this point because
honestly, if Tulane would have won, like it doesn't really matter. Like if for the hopes of the Big 12, it would have just taken care of itself. I think because if Arizona State and Iowa State play each other in the Big 12 title game,
which that's the most likely. That's the most likely.
They
matchup
both
right now.
would have won, obviously,
against
tomorrow.
Yeah,
and then they would have played each other in a ranked matchup in the Big 12 title game, which would have been an extra game that
Tulane has, but they're going to lose the SMU, right?
Oh God,
no, SMU's in the ACC.
What if Oklahoma State did the dumbest shit of all time? And
why do I have brain fart? Who's in the championship game with Tulane?
Probably gonna be Navy.
Probably Army.
Or Army.
It's probably Army.
I thought it was
because right now
it's not Memphis, right?
Because the concern,
it could be Memphis now.
It could be Memphis. The concern was that if Army or Tulane was an undefeated conference champion, that they were going to be ranked ahead,
okay.
and so they would take Boise State and
the
American. It's
going to be Army and Tulane in the AC or AAC championship because Memphis has 2 losses in conference. Army has 0. Tulane now has 1. And Army plays. How's that going to work? Because Texas San Antonio, they play next, but then when's the? Oh, I guess it would be, but yeah, they're going to play a game between Texas San Antonio and Navy, which would be the conference title, which Navy also happens to be in the AAC. Wild.
If Oklahoma State were to somehow pull off the dumbest shit of all time today and beat Colorado, you can actually withstand a BYU loss.
Huh.
You can withstand a BYU loss
and a
Texas Tech win.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So you can withstand because if you just say all of the shit that we don't want to win matters. If Colorado loses today, Iowa State's winning in basically no matter what.
Hey.
We are also Oklahoma State fans today.
They're due.
Absolutely. I don't know what I know. Guns up is a Texas Tech thing. Whatever Oklahoma State's thing is.
Go Pokes.
Go Pokes. Yeah, go Pokes. Or whatever. We are Oklahoma State fans today. And if not, then we are West Virginia fans tomorrow. And then we are Iowa State fans.
Somebody get this man a 6-pack and some car keys, and let's drive this team to a win.
No fucking shit, man. I am a massive Oklahoma State fan because that makes this thing way easier.
Well, first and foremost is let those things happen. We gotta take down Sunshine in the Kansas State Wildcats.
We do gotta take down Kansas State. So, let's start with let's start with Kansas State on offense and Iowa State on defense. Obviously, the most concerning part, no doubt about it, is Avery Johnson in the run game. No question about it. Running quarterbacks have really gouged Iowa State all season. Houston did it. UCF did it. Texas Tech did it. West Virginia did not do it, which is weird. But
full disclosure is I am counting this podcast as my preview article for today because I have no will to write that.
But now you have to post that as an article.
God.
So by far, that is the most concerning part of this is Kansas State's run game. They are very good at running the ball. They cannot throw the ball, but they are good at running the ball.
Yeah, if the Iowa State defensive line is ever going to have their best game of the season, it has to be tomorrow.
I think the coaches are aware, though, that hurts us a little bit. Mm-hmm. Campbell had a presser this week that he said, like, this is literally, he's such a talented runner and a really talented football player in general. I think you have to use your wisdom a little bit to stop him. Like, I think he's aware, like, running quarterbacks are an Achilles heel.
Yeah. The good thing, though, is that this week you're probably getting J.R. Singleton back. You've got Jack Sadowski back, who has been a fucking animal the last two games.
Yeah,
Caleb Bacon's gonna come out like a WWE star.
If Caleb Bacon comes out of the tunnel like fucking, oh my god, that would be like the Undertaker or some shit like that. Yeah. That would be
like Josh Kniffel whenever they threw him out, but then they were like, "Wait, no, we threw out David." The fans, like, he runs out onto the field and the fans go wild, and then they see David getting kicked out, and they're like, "Wait, no."
I will like Sadowski's like first full game back was against Cincinnati. I mean, he made some pretty good plays in that game, but he was still a little step slower. But then you fast forward to the Utah game, and the dude was just like demolishing people, like just throwing off blocks, just absolutely in every play. And it seemed like, and I know like Utah is what Utah is, and like they struggled on offense and they're down like a million quarterbacks at this point, but it seemed like he had another like tone set about him. Like the defense just looked a little bit different with him doing what he was doing.
Dude,
and just a little more aggressive and a little more like nastiness to him again.
So
I thought that quarterback Utah put in was pretty good.
He was not bad.
I was like,
he came in and I was like, fuck, we're gonna beat him. This guy's gonna fucking beat us.
Like, he's like big and he moves well. He throws a decent ball. Like, this guy's your
fourth string.
Yeah, like what?
I saw him come out and he had the full like left arm
he's got the
tat, and I was like, okay, fucking guy.
This guy looks like he plays for Utah and no one else. Like, this is the exact.
He only plays for Utah. Yeah. So like credit to that guy though. I mean, they did a good job. They did the 2018 Brock Purdy thing against Oklahoma State where they just have no film on him, so have no idea what he's doing. So
it was pretty obvious after that one drive what they're playing with him.
Right, they're gonna run some read options stuff like that. What's worth noting though is that up until like those last couple drives when that other quarterback came in, they started getting a little bit of running going. Utah had like 20 yards of rushing most of that
They had 99 yards until that drive.
Yeah, they were under 100 total yards of that drive. Which shout out to the defense. It's unfortunate the offense decided to spot Utah at 21 points. But
we had a 99-yard drive, the first drive of a game in a blowout loss to Kansas.
Yeah,
they had 99 yards in 3.5 quarters.
3.5 quarters. Yeah, yeah. So they did a good job. Utah's not a good running team, but they're running back. The running back himself is pretty competent. He's like a 5.5 yard a carry kind of guy, of a solid enough number. But they slowed down Utah's game to basically nothing.
Okay, maybe we do have to touch the Utah game a little bit, just a little bit.
Touch on that. I'm gonna go check my brisket quick. Go.
Okay. because
if we just put him back in, just shows them the chair.
It was terrible, right?
Yeah.
But there were some good things.
I mean, the offense basically did what it wanted.
And the defense played really well.
Defense was great. The offense did what it wanted when it wasn't throwing pick sixes
in the red zone. Yeah,
in the red zone.
Like, the whole reason the game was the way it was. I've said this to like a million times to a million people. So a red zone pick six, you muff a punt also in the red zone, or you know what I mean?
Their red zone, yeah.
So that's like
you're gonna lose that game.
you do that. And then you get a block punt for a touchdown. That is a loss. Those three things happen. 98 out of 100 games you lose. Like,
yeah.
So the fact that I feel like we said that about UCF too, but like the fact that those things happened and you win is really good. But the good things, right? Carson Hansen is a dog.
Yeah.
He's
RB1.
Yeah, and we kind of like talked about that through the season, like who we thought.
I mean, it's not like the Abu Sama couldn't bust off for 250 a game or something like it's not like there is another back in the room. There's not it's not like that Abu Sama still isn't a home run threat or that like Jalen Jackson can't do something or fucking Aiden Flora or whatever. But Carson Hansen has, in my mind, established himself as he's RB1.
Yeah, and that kind of the dynamic kind of reminds me a little bit of we have like David and Brees, and then every once in a while you just see this Kene Nwangu guy in the backfield, and then he just
there's a nice change of pace.
All right, children.
I will blow this fucking podcast up right now.
Yeah,
easy.
I'm gonna blow this podcast.
Yeah. I'm down.
Woo! Friday morning, baby.
Blowjob from Matthias. It's like wearing Crocs. Feels real nice till you look down.
So
phenomenal.
Yeah, I think having you're gonna probably have J.R. Singleton back. Dominic Orange has been dominant the last couple games. He's been a menace on that defensive line the last couple games. Jack Sadowski's playing really well. Will McLaughlin seems to be up to speed now. Where now you can feel pretty good about him. You still don't have Caleb Rosina back, but having Sadowski and Will McLaughlin back both is better than having just Caleb Rosina back.
Can we get the club off in the secondary?
Off Malik Verdon. Yeah,
let's get the club off.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that. There was another play last game where he could have picked one off and he just had a club.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, the secondary again was phenomenal. There was nowhere to throw for Utah, and Kansas State's receiving core is banged up. I think they're missing a couple different. Like I don't know if Keegan Johnson's playing. I think they're
Johnson guy. He's had a little bit of stuff, right? Like he's had some.
Keegan Johnson's all right. Yeah, he's all right, but I think he's banged up.
I mean, hasn't the quarterback been a little banged up here and there?
Avery Johnson was banged up after the Colorado game, and they weren't running him very much. Now they beat the brakes off of Cincinnati last week, and I think they ran him a little bit more last week.
Now,
to me though,
why does everybody get to play Cincinnati right before they play us? Why did that happen?
I don't know, but
conspiracy.
I mean, that's
back there drinking water, just slamming a glass of water.
Slam that water down.
That's crazy though, right? Like it's just same defense. Like every big game you have, I guess UCF wasn't a big game. It ended up being a big game.
It ended up being a big game, yeah. But yeah, UCF saw Cincinnati right before us, and then Kansas State saw Cincinnati right before us. I think the difference though is that like Kansas State's seen our defense 100 times versus where UCF had not seen our defense at all. Yeah. That's the main difference, is that UCF got a primer for a defense they ordinarily would not have seen before. Where Kansas State, we're playing the same defense we've played against Kansas State since 2017. So
I just don't know if my heart can handle the bullshittery that's going to happen in this game.
I think one thing that's worth noting though is that Kansas State, while they are not technically mathematically, they are not out. They would need an extraordinary set of circumstances to make the title game. They're functionally playing for nothing especially like if Colorado, if Colorado loses today, I think Kansas State is done.
I'm not. They're going to be
hold on,
pissed off.
Hold on.
This game is not. It doesn't
matter.
matter. We can both be 2-10, and this game is not.
I don't disagree with you at all, but hear me out. Avery Johnson is the future of that program. Period. No question about it. Everything that Kansas State does for the next 2 seasons revolves around Avery Johnson. If in a game you are down 2 scores in the third quarter, it's cold as fuck. You want to get the hell out of there. You're not playing for anything anyways. You're not going to keep running Avery Johnson on QB powers. You're not going to. Especially if he's already banged up.
I would like to say that is possible for us to be up 2 scores in the third
just
quarter.
Just being smart here. Like if you
you would think so, yes. But
it would seem silly to risk Avery Johnson's future health for that.
Okay, say we're playing Kansas State and we're 6-5 and we're in the Liberty Bowl no matter the outcome of the game.
Yep.
And we have freshman Breece Hall and it's a 2-score game in the third quarter. You think Matt Campbell's not running Breece Hall?
Oh, he's definitely running Breece Hall. Yeah.
I
think the difference though being that Avery
Johnson trying to win
being
football games,
being your quarterback.
You're
still going to try to win, but like I'm talking like I think you're going to be a little bit less you're going to be a little bit more risk averse in that type of scenario than you maybe would be in other scenarios.
I hope that's the case because if you start making,
plus I feel like
if you start calling the game in the second half based on those feelings, you're not going to win.
No, I'm not saying Iowa State should follow. I'm not saying Iowa State should follow my advice.
Like Kansas State, if that's their mentality, like we're trailing a little bit, like let's maybe not use the best asset on our offense like the way we do when we win football games. Like they're not going to win. So I'm fine if they decide to do that. I just don't.
My hope is that a combination of we've got nothing to play for. It's cold as shit. We're losing by multiple scores. My thinking is that might be enough to kind of mentally break them a little bit,
or we just beat them.
Or just beat the fuck out of them. That would be great too.
I wish my feeling was that case, but I have a feeling this Kleinman is not an idiot.
No, I think Iowa State's going to get K-State's best shot.
Correct.
Have you witnessed this matchup in the last? Really in the Campbell era,
it's pure chaos. Yeah,
and it's always something complete out of the blue bullshit is going to happen.
Weird happens. Yeah,
you just hope that it benefits us this time.
You hope it benefits us.
Let's pick up 4 PIs the other way.
Here's a question for you: Is it easier if it's cold as shit like it's going to be this weekend? Would you rather be a run heavy team, or are you fine with being a passing team?
I'd rather be a run heavy team.
I would.
I think that's the easy answer, right?
I guess the question would be: is Iowa State at a disadvantage, being like they want to try to win this game through the air?
I think the disadvantage comes from their Kansas State is just like, oh, well, we have a running quarterback, and that's kind of a weak spot for this defense. So, just run him.
I don't think the run versus the pass thing is like a disadvantage either way, because I don't think it's gonna be cold.
They still threw the ball last year.
Yeah,
in the snow.
the football's harder, sure, but like it's not gonna be snowing. Well.
No,
it's
not supposed to snow. Yeah,
there's no moisture. There's no storm coming in tonight.
It'll be cold, but it won't be like snowy and wet.
Yeah. So either way, it's gonna be fine. But in terms of like when it's cold, like if you got an offensive line or a big back like Carson Hansen running downhill at you, or if Kansas State had a big guy, which they really don't. I know Avery Johnson's not small by any means, but he's not going to like lay the wood.
No, he's still more of a finesse runner. Both him and DJ Giddens are both.
You got guys continually hitting you and running downhill at you in the cold. Eventually, it's going to break you, and just like this freaking sucks, So that's my mentality on when it's really cold. Just run it right down your throat. Break the will of your opponent.
Yeah, or if we can just take the top off it a couple times, you get. The getting behind a little bit when it's that cold, it breaks you more.
That sucks. Yeah, that sucks.
Sunny and 75, and you're down a little bit.
And that was really what my point before was. Like, if it's this cold, you get up by a couple scores later in the game, they're like, "Fuck!" Like what?
I mean, it kind of happened God, what, was that 2020?
Fucking Drake.
No, I'm saying was that 2020 Kansas State
45-0, yeah.
Yeah, like that. It wasn't like miserably cold, but like the conditions were and it was like, oh, like we're down like 2-3 touchdowns, and then they literally just gave up in the second quarter. They just
they were like super banged up. They were missing like half their team. Yeah, it was Kansas State was not winning that football game.
No, but
so it'd be
that ground is gonna be hard. The ground is gonna be hard as fuck.
It is.
Which they probably have the heaters on it right now, but that ain't gonna do anything once they take that tarp off.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
it might make it worse.
Yeah. Well, at least someone finally stopped fucking bitching about the turf being slippery.
Yeah.
Jesus. That's the most like loser mentality shit I've ever seen.
Because you're completely ignoring you're acting like the other team's not playing on the same field.
Right. Everyone's playing on the same field.
And one team is practice on it. We don't even practice on it.
No. One team is slipping a lot more than the other one. You figure out which one's doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But besides that, I mean, to me, offensively, if you can make Avery Johnson throw into this secondary, you're feeling great. You're feeling just fine about locking this offense down if you can make them throw.
It's the scramble plays, man. It's like it should be a coverage sack, but we can't get home, and then
can't get home. Yeah,
and then it's those plays. Like I get terrified. I'm like, oh god, here it comes.
And that's why I think
60-yard run, or is he just going to find somebody at the last second? Like,
J.R. Singleton leads your team in sacks, so getting him back is good. Plus, Dominic Orange has been like dominant. So, like really, Kansas game on, or not actually after the Kansas game. So the Cincinnati game and on, Dominic Orange has been dominant.
I did like, last week, the very last drive defensively for us, like the second to last drive, obviously they kind of just carved us straight down the field with the 16th string quarterback. And then that last drive though, we were like, hey, let's not just drop 8 and give this guy all day. Like we were bringing pressure at him.
Right.
And like, I kind of like that. So
I think that game was the most aggressive John Heacock has been from the get-go all season long. I mean, he was sending variants, blitzes all the time, and obviously I'd like to see a little bit more of that this week, just to kind of disrupt the pocket presence of Avery Johnson right away. I know he can run and things like that, and then you're gonna have to have your ends be gap sound and things like that, just not let somebody get around you on the outside. But I think that's really, you got to disrupt the middle first, and then make sure you got people on the outside to cover the scrambling. And that's just blow it up from the middle and then hold serve on the outside.
Yeah. I mean, that's where the dual threat quarterback will eat you up, is drop 8. He has all day back there. Like, oh, we've got everybody covered, but now he's just going to run.
He's going to run. Yeah. Giving a running quarterback that is an okay but not great thrower of the football, giving them all day to do whatever they want is the worst possible thing.
Right.
It's just in the end, it's not really reasonable to expect your secondary to be able to cover 6-8 seconds every single play. It's not reasonable. Even the best secondaries will give up an open receiver in that amount of time.
Well, yeah, they do film study right on the route trees that these guys run, and then there's no route at that. It's backyard bullshit.
Yeah, you're just coming back to the quarterback at that point. Yeah, so it's
how the Chiefs have won 10 games.
Right.
Got the worst 10-1 team in NFL history. Don't get me started on them.
So let's switch over to the other side of the ball. Iowa State's on offense, Kansas State's on defense. Kansas State's secondary is banged up. They've got 1 or 2 guys back there that are fine, but this is kind of like their secondary right now is kind of where Iowa State's was against Kansas, where you're missing a couple guys. Safeties are having to come in and cover for bad linebackers and stuff like that. And the defense is, the secondary especially is a mess for Kansas State. It's bad.
Well, let's take a look here at the Kansas State defense in terms of team statistics. Obviously, in the run game, they're averaging. They give up 3.7 yards per rush.
Good number.
Top 25 rush defense in the country. Then you go to the pass game, and they are the teams throw the ball on them 33 times a game. That's 100th in the country. It's 7.4 yards per pass allowed. That's 71st in the country. completion percentage is 62% per game. That's 86 in the country. Yards per game, if you really want to throw that in, I mean, it's notable, I guess, but they're 95th in the country at 244 yards per game. And they sacked the quarterback at an okay clip at 43rd in the country. 7% of the time they sack the quarterback.
So their defense is the inverse of ours. They are okay at rushing the passer. They can stop the run, but they can't defend a pass at all. I was watching the Pro Football Focus video about it from this week. And it was interesting. One thing they pointed out, which I this is going to sound like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Despite Rocco's struggles this season throwing to the outsides, especially outside the numbers where he can be inaccurate or make a weird decision or something like that, up the middle, in the middle third of the football season, Pro Football Focus has him graded out as a 91, throwing in the center of the football field, which for anybody that doesn't know, 91 is an exceptionally good grade for a passing grade. I mean, 91 is like elite of the elite for a passing up the middle. Kansas State, very bad at defending, especially up the middle. But I mean, they're defending it bad at defending the pass in general, but up the middle, they are especially bad. I don't know. We heard that Ben Bramer was in practice this week. I don't know if he's playing. If he doesn't, I don't think it's a huge deal because Gabe Burkle has played really well the last couple of weeks. They're starting to really use him in the passing game the way I think we thought they were talking about in the offseason anyways. So I don't, if you get Ben Bramer back, it's always good to have Ben Bramer back. Though I would still, if he's going to be 70% Ben Bramer and he can't be what you need him to be, I'd rather just lean on Gabe Burkle than have a 70 or 60% Ben Bramer back. But
also our slot receiver is one of the best over the middle threats in college football.
Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins are both very good in the middle of the field. To me, if I was looking at some very obvious places to attack Kansas State, it's up the seam with your tight ends or Jalen Noel. It's maybe running some mesh concepts, get some shallow crossers and things like that.
We love a good shallow cross.
We do love a good shallow cross. We have not been like obsessed with them like we were last year, as obsessed with them this year. But I mean, at a certain point, you've got Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins. You're going to have to you want to give them the ball and let them do something after the catch. Both of them are very good after the catch. So, I mean, this is Matt Campbell that's coaching this game. They're going to run the football. They're going to try to run the football. They're going to see what they can get vertically with Carson Hansen. They need to stop trying to extend him outside the tackles. He's just like, I don't know if it's necessarily that he can't do it, but it's just, we're just not good running to the outsides. We're just generally not good at that with this team. If you're running like A and B gap stuff with Carson Hansen, where he can run vertically and just get north and south and go, that's been your best run game all season. You can punish them with A and B gap stuff, with vertical stuff with Carson Hansen, and then hit them with some seam stuff, play action.
You do enough of that, then you might be able to get the outside. Then you can get them to shrink in. I mean, like if you can establish that vertical running game. If you can establish that, the A and B gap stuff. What? I mean, that's good. That's a correct term, I would say.
I think so. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
If you establish that vertical running game, and then maybe hit a play action with someone running down the seam, a Jalen Noel or a Gabe Burkle or something like that, I think you can do some significant damage with that. I'd like to see him get after that. This is not a Kansas State defense that is like prepared to slow down Iowa State.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Campbell, he wants nothing more than a rush for 350 yards against this team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just hope either A, it works straight out of the gate, or B, it doesn't work and we bin it and let's take some shots. I mean, we've talked about it multiple times.
Yeah.
There's nothing more frustrating for a fan than sitting there and like the run game is not working and we're like, we're going to make it work. Like,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Stop.
Yeah.
Like, you're establishing the run is fine as long as it's still successful in some ways. Whether it's getting yards or setting something up like a play action or like that halfback pass last week, which was still the most batshit call I've ever seen.
That's the craziest thing. Yeah, that
That's a fucking sicko call.
And when the absolute disgusting fucking pig would call that there. Yeah.
But like in Campbell touchdown,
when he pitched it so deep, I was like, "Oh no, we're stuffed." And then he pulls up, and I'm like, "Oh shit,
oh shit!" And Campbell talked about it in the post game too, or he talked. Was it this? It was maybe his press conference this week. He was talking about how that run they had set that up a couple times earlier in the game, and they had gotten some yards off of it. Where that quick pitch back, where it's not a big lateral pitch. It's really just it's functionally a dive. It just starts with a pitch instead of a handoff. Where they had set that up earlier in the game a couple times, and then he drops back and it hits him over the top. And then the next play, they come down to the goal line and run that run play and right in. So like that kind of shit, that's like Taylor Mauser in his bag. That is textbook like what am I think? Tunneling your pitches. That's the good shit. Where you're okay with a 2-yard run on that earlier in the game because it sets up something like that now, that type of thing. But there's always that line. There's a gray area. It's not a fine line. There's a gray area to where you start getting into the Ohio game where you get way too stubborn about trying to establish the run.
I don't think we've done that this year.
No, really. I don't think so either.
Yeah. I think we've done a good job.
It's just one of those, and maybe Kansas State overcorrects trying to slow down the passing game just because they know that Iowa State's passing game is lethal when it needs to be. Maybe they overcorrect and they give you some more in the running game, and hopefully they don't just cut that off and then you just stay stubborn like, oh no, we were running good earlier. But I don't know, this matchup makes me nervous because Kansas State is always such a solid team. They're always just they're good fundamentally. They don't really beat themselves very often, and they just kind of do the things they need to do to win football games. But they have some pretty fatal flaws. They're very bad at stopping what Iowa State is very good at doing. And Matt Campbell has also had very good success against Chris Kleiman.
Yeah.
So I know this game will always make me nervous. There's a reason Iowa State's only like a 3-point favorite or something like that. Like it's going to be tight. I'm not expecting us to blow them out or anything like that. I don't think they're going to blow us out.
That's the other option, right? Like it probably isn't like a 2-score game. It's probably 45-point game or a 3-point game.
Like, it's like 2017 or it's 45-42.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like
however,
every game, if you go back every single year, this game is like bullshit. Something dumb
happens. Yeah.
I'm fully expecting something stupid to happen.
However, if you had to pick a defensive coordinator to try to scheme this game against, it would be Broyles Award nominee and Broyles Award finalist John Haycock.
No. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they got a good quarterback, but like a lot of people have good quarterbacks, right?
I mean, Avery Johnson is not necessarily a better runner than Garrett Green for West Virginia, and
I don't think that. Like you said, nothing to really play for. I mean, I know I disagreed saying like this is a big game either way for both programs, but like I just don't know if they have like. It's good that we get to say this now. We have more weapons.
Yeah, objectively. Yeah,
we have more talented football players than they do. So it feels like I said this about the Utah game and it kind of fucked us, but. Like I looked at Utah and I was like, all we have to do is not beat ourselves. That's all we have to do is just play football. And what we do?
We tried our best.
We tried our best to beat ourselves. So like, it's like one of those things, man. Just like you said, Kansas State is they're not gonna lose the game, right? They're not gonna make mistakes or a bunch of huge mistakes. Like they're gonna play sound football. As long as we take care of the football and don't do idiotic things, we should be fine. But that's always like
if Iowa State can keep it to 1 turnover or less, and it's not a pick six, you like Iowa State's chances here because the offensive firepower for Iowa State just it dramatically favors putting a big number up on the scoreboard. It's just they have not done a good job of not doing stupid shit the last month.
Yeah, it's It's wild.
It's crazy too. Like
it's so like uncharacteristic of a Matt Campbell team too. Like basically preach our entire program revolves around like winning in the margins and detail and
we've done
fundamentals, and we've just like
we've done none of
ignored it.
No, yeah,
we're just
like,
of that.
We're gonna go like make as many mistakes as we can and see if we can win. Like it's some kind of sick, fucked up game. I hate it.
He's just trying for a high score. He's just like he's just playing the game on one life mode or something like that.
Yeah,
it's just like okay.
Chicks dig the comeback, you know.
Absolutely,
I guess so.
Kim Kardashian.
Shout out Kim Kardashian.
Parks and Rec joke. I don't know if Dylan got that one, but yeah. So this is a game that Iowa State has. Again, this is what the Utah game ended up becoming kind of what I thought it would be, which is both teams want to limit possessions. They're going to keep possession numbers down as much as they can, and that's what it ended up being. It ended up being a fairly low possession game. I would assume that both coaches will probably try to do that for this week too. I think Kansas State and Iowa State both want to keep possessions down because both teams know that their defenses are weak against the other team's strength.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to keep the other team off the field as long as you possibly can. Now, the part that's scary about that is Kansas State's strength on offense is more conducive to keeping long drives together than Iowa State's is. Iowa State's strength is more conducive to explosive drives, explosive plays. And I mean, Iowa State can still nickel and dime its way up the field with the passing game. They did it against Kansas. They've done it against other people. But Kansas State's running game is not super explosive, but it's effective. It's just good at moving the chains. That's what Kansas State does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're in there. I'm watching the BYU game this whole week, right? Like, BYU scores 38 on them and holds them to 9. So whatever that game plan was, and that's earlier in the year when Kansas State was the force, they were good before.
Well, you can look at the Houston game.
Yeah. But I mean, you can just see in the games that they played that there are definitely game plans that have been proven to work against this team. So I mean,
yeah,
we have one of the best staffs for like doing that kind of stuff. So,
yep.
I think Mouse is going to have a good opening drive. Those plays are scripted. Everybody knows this in football for like every team that ever plays. Mm-hmm. Your opening drive plays are literally they're already down right now. Like he already knows them.
Yep.
I think that'll be good. I think good start, and then we just hope that we don't do the thing where we like try to spot them 14 points before we play defense. Which we've been better about as of late, but
that's what I think the biggest key for me to feel good about this one is like don't go down 7-0 right away and then go 3 and out right after or punt it at any point in time. Like if you do go down 7-0, score right away. But if you have the opportunity, I know that's not what coaches like to do, but get the ball first, set the tone. And just
I would like us to take the ball first once just to get out there and do something. It
kind of fires up the other team when you do that, though. Like it gives them a boost of momentum that for no reason, because it's like a fuck you, It's like, hey, we're about to run your shit, and that's what it feels like.
Sure, yeah. I don't know.
But if you don't get the ball first, don't let them score. Don't let them take advantage right away.
The one thing that I want, I mean, is it way too late to clean this up? I don't know, and I'm not sure exactly what the issue with, but we've seen it the last. I mean, at times throughout the entire season, but especially the last couple of weeks, it feels like, and especially Kansas game too, we've seen some odd pre-snap and between the plays, communication and substitution miscommunications that are something's not going well. Like we've seen Cincinnati and Utah both did it, where we subbed late, and so then they sub late and they take forever, and forces us to burn a timeout and things like that. Where it's these weird like. I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not, but there's just times where like the play's not getting in very quickly, or they're doing weird late substitutions or something. Like I don't know.
We've burned a lot of timeouts in situations.
They burned 2 timeouts in the third quarter last week,
which sucks because then you look at the game in a 1-possession game like that. You're like, man,
I wish we had another timeout.
Yeah, typically you're like, oh, if we don't score here, we got our 3 timeouts and we just bang them out and get the ball back.
Right.
Well, I was looking at it like, holy fuck, we have one timeout. This is it.
one
This is the last drive. We have to this is all we got.
Have to score. Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. It could be maybe they're having issues with the headset. I don't know. It's impossible for us to know exactly what's causing that.
Trying to keep the cheaters out of the headset.
I guess. Yeah. But what I do know is
who was saying that? Somebody
that was Texas Tech was the one. Were they
thought the 2 games before us that they were having trouble,
that they thought that people were listening into their headset or something. I don't know. Whatever. Again,
it's probably Harbaugh.
Most loser mentality shit you can think of is complaining about the field, complaining about the headsets. Fuck you. But so I'm not sure what the thing is, but I've noticed at the last few games that we've seen more of those procedure issues, where it's late substitutions or like the play calls getting in late. When you see like Rocco or the receivers looking over the sideline, they're like, what the fuck? What are we running type of thing. When I see Rocco look at the sidelines and go like this or whatever, that to me is like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, how are we not getting plays in?
Oh, dude, at least it's much faster now because of the headsets. Like,
I guess
when we're signaling these entire plays, I mean, there would be 10 seconds left on the play clock, and we're all looking at the sideline, and the signaler is just holding his hand up, like listening, like
right, just waiting.
We don't even have a call yet. There's 10 seconds. The signal takes 10 seconds to do.
Right. So it's like that kind of shit. It's like, I'm not sure if you can clean it up now. I don't know what's going on. But what I do know is
you can clean it up. It's just by better communication.
Right. Yeah. So, like I said, I don't know if it's a procedure thing or if it's a technology thing or whatever. I don't know what it is.
I bet it's just indecisive on the headset.
It could be. And if that's the case, then they need to clean that up, because you cannot be burning timeouts and 2 timeouts in the third quarter,
especially when you're going to play every game to one possession.
That's exactly right. If you're going to play every single game to one fucking possession, you need to get you need to have your timeouts at the end of the game and stop burning that shit. Now, the second one that they
timeouts at the end of games are optional nowadays,
I guess. The one that pissed me off was the second one, though.
Not the Bears. Not the Bears.
Yeah. One that pissed me off, though, was that second one.
You traded in for a corn dog, bro.
Corn dogs, Jackie.
Virginia McCaskey's going to take that timeout to her grave. But yeah, the second one pissed me off, though, because it was like you were on like the 31-yard line, and it was like, was it 3rd and 1 or something like that? I think you ended up, did you kick a field goal there, or maybe anyways? I don't remember what it was. I remember the situation being like, it didn't really matter that much if you just took the 5 yards. Like at the certain point, you just say, fuck it, just take the 5-yard penalty and be fine with it instead of burning a fucking timeout.
And Utah was doing the appropriate thing of subbing when they did too.
They were doing Gundy. They were doing the Gundy sub. Yeah,
really slow.
I think that should. I don't like that. I mean,
I don't know how you legislate it, but they need to do something about that to curb it. It's bad.
Yeah, it's one of those things where kind of like the Oregon thing where he's like, "Oh, I put 12 guys on the field on purpose or whatever." Like, it's like part of the rule book technically, but it's like kind of scummy a little bit. Like,
yeah. I think there should be like some clause out there, like you have to do with like reasonable.
Yeah, then it's all, but then we're putting more in the hands of the refs and their own judgment, which is
fair enough. But I just think so. My revision of that because what you see a lot of times is you see like they'll sub out a defensive lineman, so the defensive lineman will just like lightly jog onto the field. Meanwhile, the guy that he's subbing in for is not moving.
Right,
he's staying right there. He gets all the way to the player he's subbing out for, and then that player walks all the way back.
Oh, everybody does it. I mean, we've done it. I've been on the sideline and seen Haycock like holding a guy. He'll hold on to him. Yeah. And then he'll wait and I'll say, all right, go ahead. Like, right. Everyone does it.
That said, I think it should be amended that like when you're like when the defense is making their substitution that they're allowed to make is that like the other player that's coming out needs to be moving before the other guy gets there, type of like before they get halfway there or something. I don't know how you want, how you exactly word it, but like you can't be doing this shit where they just slowly jog on and then the other guy comes back. Like you need to be making the substitution.
Yeah. I mean, if both teams sub, maybe just don't run the play clock below 10 seconds. I don't know. It's like a huge rule change, but like
they got to do the NFL thing where they reset the play clock to 25. Like that happens a ton. Like you get the repump up of the clock. I mean, they do it sometimes in the college, but they do it a lot in the NFL. Yeah. You'll see it like go down to 5, like when substitutions are happening, and then the refs bump it back up to 25. Like, well,
the officiating in pro sports don't even, because I mean, how many times have you seen a quarterback snap the ball with 0 seconds on the
all the time. Bears do it all the time.
What I understand though, that's kind of on purpose though. They give them like the 0.5 type of thing.
Yeah, but I've seen it sit there for a minute.
Yeah, it's egregious.
Yeah, and it's the same like the NBA. How many times do you see a guy switch a pivot foot or just blatantly walk?
Well,
like,
yeah,
it's just
the
like,
NBA is a whole different thing.
It's like,
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the solution is, I guess, but what I do know is that the way it is currently being handled sucks.
Yeah,
like it's not at all in the spirit of what it's supposed to be. They're just doing it to be a pain in the dick. That's all they're doing.
No, and it hurts people, right? Like, how many times has the ref been standing over the center and you like you got a timeout or a delay a game because you can't snap the ball because the ref is just standing there.
Right.
So like, yeah, I don't know what the fix is, but maybe people just quit being scumbags and play the game, have a little integrity.
Yeah, maybe not worry about the game.
Fortunately, that is out the window.
No.
Yep. Okay. Special teams, don't fuck it up. Jalen Noel, catch your punts. At this point,
that sucked because it was like that's like one of your best players. It's like it's like not like, oh, we just have this guy returning punts. That's like, oh, he's really fast and we put him back there, but we don't really have faith in him.
Yeah. You know, he
your most trusted guy on your team. It's like, fuck.
He had those issues in year 1 when he was returning the punts as a freshman, and then it went away because he got obviously experience and more trust in him and stuff like that. I think it was just. I don't think it's going to happen again. I
don't think it's
knock on wood, but
we have to fix up the punt team. Like you can't have
punt return has done a nice job all year. Whether it's getting,
but we get the block punt right, and there's been several that throughout the year I'm like, holy smokes, that guy's unblocked and he just missed it. And then there's been like, I think we got one tipped once too, not blocked like it was last week, but and it's just like. Those are damn near
like punt protection.
Yeah, those are pick sixes almost, you know, like they're
I don't know. Punt protection has always been something that like maybe I just don't know enough about it, I guess, but like every time I watch
I'm a savant.
Like, I mean, punt protection is always like a weird thing to me because like you have the 3 guys or 2 or 3 guys up front or whatever, like in front of the punter, but then they'll just like let some guys go by. I don't know that has never made sense to me.
So everybody has a man, right? Most of the time.
Sure.
You're not blocking a zone. So like the way that happens is it's all based off a count. And then you'll see the guys like the guards and the tackles, they like point. Right. And that's like the count. They know which guy they have in the count. And then the guys in the back take their man based off of how the guys up front take their count. Well, then so say I'm looking at this guy, like this is my guy on the edge. When he comes, I got to block him. Well, if you got miscommunication on the front line and they miss a guy, that guy in the back's not looking to pick that up. He's watching the guy off the so it's like it can get fucked up. But the fucked up part about special teams is there's so much more during the week that people scheme up that people don't realize. Like that's like the most schemed part of the game. Like you'll have a special teams guy that's just a freako nerd and he's like, oh dude, we got him. Like however they do their protection, we got him and we can do this and it's gonna fuck with them. And like it's all just a fucked up mind game and I hate it. But I had to go in every Wednesday.
Dylan wants some head empty special teams. Just fucking
it can flip a game upside down so quickly. That's
it can. And I had to go in 6 a.m. every Wednesday and meet with the special teams guy, whoever that was. We traded them in and out a lot while I was there. But like Rob Grandy was my last year, and like we would just talk about punt protection for like 3 hours every Wednesday morning. And it's like, ugh. Because there's unlimited scenarios. You're like, well, what if they do this? Well, we're probably fucked if they do that. And then it's like, well, let's hope they don't do that.
Yeah, like I said, there's more into it than I have my football knowledge goes into. But it from the stands, it is frustrating to see 3 guys up front and then one of them they just let them go type of thing. Like it's pretty frustrating to see that. So it's like,
there's some protections where you're like, hey, we don't have a guy to block this guy if they line up like this. We're just gonna hope that we can get the punt off. Like everything works perfectly, and he can't get there.
I hate that.
That's a thing. That's a real thing.
Oh, I don't doubt that. That sucks. I don't like hearing that at all. That sucks. But
that's why the whole deal is so important. The snap and the catch and the punt, like the timing. That's why that's such a track thing for those guys and practice thing, because that happens sometimes where it's like, hey, we've just got to in this look, we've got to get the punt off before this guy gets here. And but it's all fucked. Let's have no special teams errors. Let's go for no picks.
Special
I'll take
teams,
one
special
pick
players.
if it's not a pick 6, but let's try for no picks.
if it's a pick that's not a pick 6, I'll be like, fine, it's a punt. Whatever, it's an arm punt. I don't care. Like that's where I'm at with it now. As long as they don't score on it, whatever.
I mean, if we just play smart football, they shouldn't be able to get a pick because they're secondary. And
It's poopy.
yeah.
It is unwiped diarrhea butt. Yeah, it's just one of those things. One thing I wanted to say on kickoff return though, Jalen Jackson ain't it. Like, I don't know. Like,
Well, you can kind of see when he runs the ball on offense that like he's probably not a return guy.
he's what's funny though is if you look at it like his Eastern Michigan tape, he was like electric on kick returns, really good.
Yeah.
And that's why they got him. You know, that's why he's got. I'm sure
he just seems like he likes to cut and shift, and
he's very indecisive. And
yeah,
Gotta pick a lane and go.
Yeah, that's a return guy. That's why Kane was so good at it, and he was in the league too. He's one plant foot, like one cut and go.
Plant it, go. Yeah, and Jalen Jackson likes to fuck around too much.
Yeah,
or whatever. And that's why, like, I don't know. Right, anytime right now that he takes it out of the end zone, I was like, fuck, we're gonna end up on the 15-yard line or something like that. Like, it's just at a certain point, you just let him go or put somebody else back there. I don't know. Pick somebody. I'm not trying to like call out Jalen Jackson, but it just seems like kick return does not fit his play style.
Right.
And it's just not working at all right now. I don't know if you just fucking throw the white.
I mean, I think the way that Sama runs, he would be a good return guy.
I think so too. I think he's elusive, but he wants to be a downhill running back, but he's just good at being elusive and finding some lanes to the outside. But I think he's best when he can get downhill.
And he likes that. He likes that 1 foot in the ground and go. I mean, that's.
I think Sama would be great back there. Yeah. I have no doubt about it. I'm sure he ran back in high school. I didn't watch.
Maybe he can't catch kicks. Some guys can't. I mean,
maybe. I don't know if you just got to throw the white flag up and say fuck it, we'll just take it to the 25 every time. I don't know, but what I do know is that right now, any attempt to return a kick right now is just now you're just wasting yards at this point because they're not getting to the 25.
Right.
So that sucks because having a good kickoff return unit is both fun and effective.
It's the same for punt return too. Like, I mean, we've returned more, we've said this year than we've seen, but like those are free yards. Like, man, even if you get 10 yards, that is like
it's free
bigger.
Yards.
It's bigger than what you realize. If you get 10 yards on a punt return and you go 3 and out, that's huge. Then
I think generally speaking, Jalen Knowles done a very good job of returning ones when he can.
Yeah.
If he feels like he just can't, he'll call the fair catch. But I think he's done a good job of not just like auto throwing it up and just being done. Like, I think when he's been able to return them, I think he's done a good job.
Thankfully, we've been better over the years here of actually fair catching the punts and not letting them go.
Yeah.
Oh god, that drives me nuts. You can't
just let them punt it 75 yards.
Fuck.
Like the fair catch at the 10 is a lot better than a down punt at the 1 or 2.
Yeah, not even close. That drove me nuts. We did because there was like a 5-year stretch there where we just
is there a good chance it bounces in the end zone? But that one time it downs it at the 1 could
lose you a game.
Yeah. Well, the coaching point on that is you just don't go past the 10, right? If you're the returner, you never. Once your heels hit the 10-yard line, you stop. You don't because a down punt at the 1 is better than a muff punt at the 1.
Sure. Well, yeah, sure, yeah. But they were even doing it at like the 25, 30-yard line. They were just letting shit go. And it's like, okay, well, you're just giving them 15 yards on every punt just because.
Right.
I don't know. That's how you lose the field position game pretty fast. But
what do we got?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's wrap her up. I'll go first. So, offensively, this looks like this might be this feels like it might be like a Gabe Burkle game. Especially hitting him on the seam and really doing some damage in the middle of the field. This feels like it might be a Gabe Burkle game. Maybe he gets 6 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown or something like that. But those 6 catches, 5 of them are going to be first downs type of thing. I'd like to see some of that. I'd like to see them not be afraid to throw the ball, even if it's cold. I'd like to see them not be afraid to throw the ball a little bit, and really test that secondary. So defensively, this is Jack Sadowski. This is Jack Sadowski's game. Kansas State can run the ball. They've got Avery Johnson. They've got DJ Giddens. The other running back whose name I'm forgetting right now, he's out. He's not playing. So right now it's Avery Johnson and DJ Giddens, and that's their running game. 2 good runners, but they're mortal. They're not unstoppable. If you have Jack Sadowski and the rest of the linebacker group, and they're being gap sound, they're doing a good job of not over pursuing or getting caught up in weird spots. I think you can contain Kansas State's running game enough to make it tough sledding for them. Final score, give me 34-28. Good guys.
Well, I'm gonna go with got to control the trenches against Kansas State as per usual. They're always sound offensively and defensively lined on the defensive lines. Obviously, Iowa State has their struggles up front on the offensive line, and the defensive line just doesn't have enough consistency all the time. But if there was a game that both those lines could put it together, you need it for this one, just because 1, the stakes are so high, and 2, you need your best game from both of them, and especially, I think they can survive out on the offensive line struggles that they've had. Obviously, we've seen it, but the defensive line has to be as disruptive as ever, blow it up from the middle, and then contain the outsides with the run game that Kansas State brings, and then force a turnover too, and create some short field for the offense to capitalize a couple touchdowns there. And I don't know. I got 24-21 Iowa State, but that is not a very confident 24-21. I am bracing for impact on my nutsack.
All right. You ready for the
Can't wait.
Overly optimistic? Caleb Bacon comes out of a coffin in an Undertaker outfit, resurrects the entire defense with him. We lock him down. Okay. So Hanson's going to go for like 130 and a touchdown. Good enough, right? And then we're going to get the regularly scheduled Jaden Higgins touchdown. And we're going to find Jalen Noel over the middle one time, and he's going to bust one for about 54 for a touchdown. We'll get a field goal in there too. And then there's probably some like fucked up play call touchdown towards the end. So that puts us at 31. The defense, they're going to show up. Haycock, all hail. And let's see.
One's this guy for our tribal chief, John Haycock.
Yeah, they're going to, I mean, they've got a couple, the quarterback, they've got a few options there, but, they can't win in Ames. We know this. So we are going to go 31-17.
Wow.
And it probably, I'm hoping it doesn't even feel that close. I'm hoping from the first drive of the game, it feels like one of those games where it's like, oh, we can't lose this.
Just feeling like a 2018 West Virginia kind of vibe.
Yeah. You know how you get those feelings after the first couple drives. You're just like,
yes,
whatever the score is, like, there's no way we're going to lose this game.
Yeah.
You just hope that it starts out that way.
Yeah.
And I like 31-17 because I mean, although they've got this quarterback that everybody loves to talk about for some reason, I just don't see the firepower in the offense. And I mean, I have faith in our defense. And I think, like, whether we can run it really well or not, I think we can tear them up being cold or not. We have the weapons and Rocco and our receivers and tight ends, whether Bramer's back or not. I mean, I feel like if we go out and we haven't played a game of true complementary football, all three phases we're playing at their best. We haven't done that once. So
right.
I'm hoping we play good defense, our offense clicks on all cylinders, and we don't fuck it up on special teams, and everything just gels together good, and we don't have to sweat another one out because we've had enough of those.
I would love nothing more than to go out there and get a nice, comfortable win.
That
would make me feel so great. And plus, if you can get a good win, I mean, Kansas State's ranked. If you can get a good win over Kansas State,
it's a good momentum builder going into what we're going into.
Yeah. And then you're probably playing Arizona State for a Big 12 title game. Great.
It is important for the Big 12 with the way the current college football playoff standings are. I've already said this, but it is important for Iowa State and Arizona State to play each other to avoid a monumental situation where they are left out.
Yep, absolutely.
With Tulane losing, that definitely helps. I don't foresee it happening at all anymore, but we're leaving it in the hands of a college football committee that is obviously biased.
They're biased against the Big 12. Yeah.
So
right now, the Big 12 has a financial incentive to make Iowa State win this football game. I mean, about time that you guys come and help us this one time.
The SEC, dude, is just like it's driving me nuts. Alabama lost to 500 dog shit OU and Vandy, and they're like right on the edge, like, and they're like, oh, you saw all the Lane Kiffin stuff, right? Where he's like talking shit about the Big 12 or whatever. Like, Ole Miss has lost their last 3 games to Big 12 opponents, none of which were Texas or Oklahoma.
Right.
And
well, Nick Saban was talking about it earlier this week too. And
here's my hot take of the year. I've already sent it to you guys, but my hot take of the year is I have played against and seen Texas teams that are better than this current Texas team. I've played against and seen Texas teams not win the Big 12 that are better than this Texas team that's running the SEC right now.
I don't think that's all that hot of a take, to be honest. No. I mean, we've seen better Texas teams for sure.
Yeah, but
Tom Herman had better. Yeah. Tom Herman had better Texas teams.
Yeah, and we're just acting like, oh, they won one Big 12 championship in a decade, and then they're just running the SEC. Like,
and I think we're seeing too a little bit of the whole NIL thing in the transfer portal, like space out the SEC a little bit. Like, you used to have like the top 4 that were really dominant and like they could beat the fuck out of anybody, no matter what game it was. And it has dispersed it out to where you have the SEC be, I mean, competitive league wide as it is right now. And
there's a better spread. The talent is more spread.
Yeah.
Out
And
now.
until something catastrophic happens to the SEC where like it continues to keep spreading out the talent, and then they're probably 6 deep right now. It gets to 8, it gets to maybe 10 where they're just bullying everybody out. That's when I think the narrative will shift a little bit to where the rest of these conferences, like you can plug and play more of these teams in these college football playoff. But until that happens, which we're probably when they have these caps on these scholarships that you have on the rosters, and then the amount of money that you can pay the players, et cetera, like that, that's when the narrative will change on the SEC and you won't have this extreme bias. But right now, the initial thought of this 12-team playoff, we're in that cycle. And until that happens, it's not going to change.
What just frustrates me because, like, I don't have any bitch about the way they're talking about the Big Ten this year. Like, I think the Big Ten, all 4 of those teams with their resume probably do deserve to be in. Like, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana, like they all probably
they're good enough. They should be in.
Yeah, like I don't have any qualms about that.
But who you looking at in the SEC where you're like, damn, they are clearly one of the best 4 or 5 teams in America.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like,
they have no dominant team.
Ranked wise, it's Texas, right? That's the best team in the SEC at the moment, and they're pretty average. Like,
I would if Carson Beck can stop his turnover situation that he's at, like, I mean, I would take,
they have a better team than Texas, I think.
Yeah, and like their coaching staff is elite, like top to bottom. Like that's obviously Georgia's going to get in probably. Obviously, they're playing the SEC title game. Even if they win or lose that, like I
Yeah,
would
I don't
bet
think
them
the
as the
SEC
favorite.
title, the way the bias is, the SEC title game doesn't eliminate anybody from the
No,
playoff.
and like they're gonna get in, and like I would put money on Georgia to win the whole thing just because of the coaching staff, but I wouldn't feel comfortable with it, and I wouldn't feel comfortable putting money on Texas. I wouldn't feel comfortable putting money. I wouldn't really honestly feel comfortable putting money on anybody just because I think of the.
It's pretty wide open. I feel
Yeah.
like I have a buddy that went to Penn State. We joke about it. Like, man, Penn State's probably getting in. It's like, oh, if we get in, there's a chance. Like, you're just as likely to play Penn State in the playoff as you are to play anybody else, right? As Iowa State. And I was like, that's funny because that's probably best case scenario for both programs because I think that might be like, out of all the teams you could choose from, Penn State's like, and they're, although they
don't have they don't have a dominant quarterback.
Yeah,
they got a really good tight end, but
they're kind of like the Iowa, like of the past 10 years, where like they won all these games, but like the one big game they had, they lost, and it's like
you have a shot against them.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a shot against anybody if we're healthy and we just don't do stupid shit.
You get to the Big 12 title game, you win, you're in. And then you have a week and a half off until it's the 23rd, I think, is when the games are. So you got 2 weeks almost.
Yeah, I didn't even realize until like last week that they moved up the championship games. Until I started looking at it, I was like, because usually your last game and then there's a week off, and then
now it's just the next week you play.
Yeah, I guess with the playoff they bumped everything up. So like,
I guess if you are top 4, you have longer time off too, which we need Boise State to lose.
You'd need Boise State to lose probably.
I mean, you would think that 2 ranked wins in a row would bump you up, especially.
And that's like let the chips fall where they may at that point. If you get the 2 ranked wins and whatever, but
if you're in, you're in, and that's what.
But Boise State's going to play UNLV in probably the Mountain West title game, and they're ranked as well.
UNLV could beat Boise State. They're
and
good enough.
If that happens,
Wyoming almost beat Boise State,
right? So, and UNLV almost beat Boise State the first time. They did a very good job of shutting down Genty. So
and there were some rumors that Genty was banged up a little bit too.
I mean, he has to be. I mean, he's getting ran.
There's no way he's not. He's getting 40 carries a game.
The dude is just a monster. That I think he just hides the getting banged up very, very well.
Watch Ashton Genty go at the end of the first round of the Chiefs.
Yeah, but if that guy, I'm tired of the Chiefs. Everybody trades.
You can be tired of the Chiefs all you want, but it doesn't matter.
They get D-Hop in mid-season. Like, why are we trading? Why are teams still trading?
They keep trading people to the Chiefs. I don't know why we're doing it.
Yeah,
I watch it. It's gonna be the same thing as Kareem Hunt. Same thing. We're very clearly the best G5 running back. Now, granted, Ashton Genty's got a lot more publicity than Kareem Hunt ever did, but Kareem Hunt just kind of got picked up out of nowhere by Kansas. And all of us that played Kareem Hunt when he was at Toledo, all the Iowa State people that saw him at Toledo, we were like, fuck, this guy's gonna be really fucking good at Kansas City. Watch it. Because remember, the NFL doesn't care about running backs anymore. So
unfortunately, I think that, for the Heisman stuff, like they're gonna give it to Travis Hunter, but like, God, you gotta give
he's
it
so
to
good. Yeah.
It's
one of those two. It's those two and nobody else.
Yeah, but the messed up part about the Heisman race, if JT played for Alabama, he'd be a shoo-in. It wouldn't be a conversation.
It wouldn't even be close. Yeah, it wouldn't even
correct.
Yeah. But either way, yeah, no, it'd be an interesting one. I mean, if you're in the playoff, you're in the playoff. That's all that matters. The worst part is that if you get in as a 12 and you somehow stay back and you're the 12 seed, you're probably playing at Ohio State for the first round. That sucks. You're either playing at Ohio State or you're playing at Oregon. It's one of the two.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends how it all shakes out with the championship.
Well, yeah, if Oregon beats Ohio State, then they'll probably fall back like a spot or two. Then maybe Penn State could jump up to that 5.
Yeah,
you're playing
a Big Ten team.
You're playing in Columbus, or
I don't know if that's necessarily true either, right? If you get Texas A&M. Well, I guess they play Texas.
Tennessee could.
They won't be number 5. It'll be
Georgia.
No, what I'm thinking of, Texas beats A&M this week, and then they lose in the championship.
Then they're at 5.
Yeah,
I'd play it down in Austin in a heartbeat. No problem. Darrell Royal Stadium is the most overrated stadium in college football.
It's definitely the loser of the SEC championship or the loser of the Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
Will be 5.
It's one of those two. My guess. My guess is you're playing in the Horseshoe. You're playing in Austin.
But that's if we're 12. We may not be 12. We may be 8, 9. You know. Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. But either way, we got to win this weekend. I would assume I'd be pretty shocked if we wore anything other than the All Blacks.
I think we are All Blacks.
I would assume we're all black. You got fucking Tom Annie Burner here in the fucking Slack throwing some nonsense about some fucking rumor about us going black, gold, which is not happening.
Holy moly.
That would be
burn it down.
That would be an all-timer.
If we come out in that, I hope we lose.
Same. Like at that point, it's like honestly, we just fucking deserve it at this point. That'd be some clown shit.
Do the seniors choose jerseys for senior night?
I can't remember. I don't think we ever did. I mean, bro, that's a lot. Honestly, that's like the last thing that those guys are worried about. Yeah. I mean,
I'd be pretty surprised if we weren't wearing the All Blacks.
Like it's cool. It's cool when you come in the locker room on game day and like, oh yeah, we're wearing something that looks sweet today. But like, you don't ever really think about it too much. I mean,
yeah. I'd be fine if they were that black, white. I like that combo a lot.
Let's just go all white. Say fuck it.
Or the black with the white helmet, black cyclone script, white pants, white, black, white.
Kind of like that was a TCU 2019. We wore that. That was a good combo.
I like that one.
It was a good combo. Yeah.
But with the new black cyclone script, dude,
we have not seen white, red, white this whole season, and fucking pisses me off. That's our best.
I like that one too.
Get over it.
Combo. Fuck you, Matthias.
Just win, baby.